Hello and welcome to With Winning in Mind podcast. I'm your host, Troy, along with Lanny Bassham, founder of Mental Management Systems. And today we're talking about confidence. What do you do when you've built a confidence to where you have the self-image that you know you can win, you have the skill to win, you believe in yourself, but how do you protect yourself when everyone's trying to knock you down? And that's what we're going to discuss today. So over your career, your mighty lengthy career, not just competing, but you've had decades and decades of coaching athletes who've had a ton of skill level, but weren't quite believing they were as good as they were. But then they finally get that self-image to where, okay, here's where I'm at. But how do they stay where they're protected when so many people, once you get to the top, they want to knock you down? And, you know, there's always one person who wants to get over the hump. So how does someone protect their self-image from other distractions, other people, and really be able to stay a dominant force in their sport?
Well, that's a guarantee that the better you get, the more likely the people that are wanting your place in the leaderboard are going to, at least some of them, are going to be okay with the fact that you're beating them, but there will be others that were not okay with that, and might resort to I don't know, maybe just something overt or something covert to be able to try to get a little bit of an edge on you going in, and this is a potential distraction. And distractions come in a lot of different forms. They come, thinking about a negative thought, negative people, things like that. But this is a particular kind of distraction. And one of the rules that I like to teach is that every potential distraction needs to have a planned, practiced strategy to overcome it, so that you're prepared when it happens. You know exactly what to do. You implement the strategy. So let's talk about that one where let's say somebody is trying to get in your head. There's a name for this. It's called gamesmanship, and most athletes are not interested in doing that. As a matter of fact, you don't get anything when you cause your competitor to stumble. I don't want to do anything that would prevent my competitor from doing their best. I want to beat them when they're at their best. That's the appropriate way to do it. So you would never knowingly hurt another competitor.
You want to make sure there's no doubt I'm better than you after today.
Right.
And if
they're
playing,
there's no doubt.
Yeah.
So, but let's say that other people don't actually see it that way, and they want to do something. I was taught this. I can't really remember who taught me this, but back when I was shooting, it could have been Jack Foster. I want to think that it was Jack Foster, only because he taught me so much. But he somehow or another he said something like this: that there are two kinds of people when they talk to you. They're malignant people and they're benign people. Okay, and he says a malignant person is trying to screw you up, trying to get in your head, trying to cause you to worry about what they said, and a benign person has no intent of trying to mess with you, but they'll say something like this. You're in between stages or in between rounds or something like that, and they come up and say, "Oh, you're leading the tournament. Good luck." And you didn't really want to know that.
But now you're thinking about it.
And now you're thinking about it. So what happens that's an example of a benign person. They don't know that this is gamesmanship. They don't never thought that it was gamesmanship, but they're talking about, or they come up to you and say, "Well, I'm having this problem," and sit there and talk to you about a problem that they're having, or a shot that didn't go right, and they just can't keep from telling you about it, and you're in the middle of a tournament. And maybe your playing partner wants to talk about a trouble that they had on a shot or something like that. It's not appropriate to do that, but they do it anyway. And so most of our sports are social sports anyway, so people tend to be talking, and you have that. So that's an example of a benign attempt. Now, a malignant attempt is when they do want you to think about it. Where they might just flat come out and say you're going to have trouble with me, or something like that. Where they're trying to get you to worry about that. If you run this next station, you're probably going to win this tournament. If you're a golfer, it's like if you par out, you're gonna have a really good score, or you're gonna need a birdie on the last hole to be able to win this tournament. It's something like that, to where.
But it's not rude. It's not malicious in any regard, but it's meant to be a distraction. Where the other example you're given, they're clueless about it and it becomes a distraction, but it's affecting the same way. So, quick question while you're talking about this individual: is there a line that can be crossed from someone that? Because I think it's appropriate to kind of get in someone's head in certain sports, and you're trying to kind of go mano a mano and go back and forth a little bit, but I think there's a line that you could cross to where it becomes wrong and not part of the game. Like I remember I watch a lot of videos on Larry Bird, the NBA, because there's all these stories about Larry Bird, and they call him the greatest trash talker in the history of the sport. He is like, he didn't view it as trash talking. He's just like, really? They got you guarding me? And immediately that guy's confidence is shaken, right, when he said that, that kind of stuff. But he looked at it differently, as opposed to people really trying to be a little bit more offensive, a little bit more personal. Do you think there's a line, or do you think it doesn't matter?
Well, let me tell you what Foster said as a way to solve this problem. I'm not 100% sure it was him, but I thought it was a cool answer. It really doesn't matter, because sometimes you don't know if it's malignant or if it's benign. You really don't know. And so, but here's the answer. You look them in the eye and you smile and you say thank you. And that's all you say. You shut up. You say thank you. And if it's benign, conversation's over. You go on to another subject. And if you want to make sure that the conversation's over, ask a question after that. Ask a question. I heard you got a new pickup, or how about them Cowboys, or how about those, whatever your favorite team is. But it becomes you turn the thing around.
So you're diffusing it.
If it's malignant, by saying thank you, looking them in the eye and saying thank you, that just drives them nuts. What's he mean by that?
Yeah.
I was trying to mess with him, and he did that. Now it was interesting. I watch a lot of football, and Patrick Mahomes was on an interview with him. It might have been on Hard Knocks, but when he gets sacked, he always says to the guy who sacked him, Boy, that was a good sack, dog. You know, that's the way he talks, and he just throws it right back. You know, but I took it. You know, he does. He kind of compliments them when they do a good job. Or I think that the key is that this is you got to reestablish. You have to have this is a potential distraction, so you have to have a strategy that the result of this strategy is that you retain a confident self-image at the end of the conversation. And so that this is without debating somebody, you want to end it quickly, and you want to have a quick strategy ready to implement when in any type of distraction. Like for example, let's say that somebody or you hear a person say something. I don't know. You're a skeet shooter, and you have to shoot with other people that sometimes they talk negatively. So you hear a negative comment. You know, they're complaining about, I can't hit low six. You know, I'm having trouble with low six. It's always a problem for me, and all that kind of stuff, and kind of complaining. And well, what's your strategy when you say that? So, what you want to do, a suggested strategy is that anytime I have a negative comment or maybe a negative stray thought that comes into my head, you know, like a scork thought, or I'm having trouble with this presentation or something like that. Immediately you go to your strategy is, well, what's the opposite of that? And so if the opposite is, you know, well, I just crush a low six. You know, if they say, well, I don't like this venue, well, then you immediately say, well, I love this venue. I shoot great on this venue. You have an automatic positive imprint to wash away the potential negative imprint. And if you have a score issue that comes up, you think, I think about my process. You know, process is primary. You know, you go back to execution. And that if you have a distraction, any distraction that you have, whether it be somebody else trying to get in your head or anything else, is that you just remember this, that if you have a planned, practiced strategy to know what to do when this happens, the probability that it will happen almost disappears, just because you have the strategy for it. But if you don't have a strategy for it, you're caught unawares, and there's a chance that it will hurt you. If you do have a strategy for that, you can automatically go to the strategy and problem solved, and it's no big deal. But I promise you this, I want to say one more comment, that the better you get at this, the greater the probability that people will come after you. I will say this too, that most sports that I've coached, the top people don't go after their competitors. They just don't do it. I mean, it's rare. When I got to the point to where I was maybe number one in the world, I never had a competitor. None of my teammates or any international shooters or something like that. And they never tried to do that. But coaches on the other teams, especially the Russian coaches, they were upset about the fact that I was beating their shooters, and so they did everything they could to mess with my head. You know, come up and talk to me and try to say, you know, you have an illegal position. and I don't want to bother you, but you have an illegal position. We're going to challenge you at the end. Of course, I didn't do it because I had a legal position.
Yeah, but it just goes back to it's an external distraction. You need to be prepared for it, no matter where it's coming from, whether it's another competitor, a coach, even a spectator, having something pre-planned. So it's basically an extension of the contingency planning that we would normally do within our sport. Like if my equipment malfunctions, what do? Get another one. You're talking about Patrick Mahomes. It made me think about this. Yeah. So the last game that they played, he had a helmet malfunction, it cracked, right? So they had a backup, and so the commentators, after the game was over, I was watching, I love the NFL Network on Sirius Radio, and they were talking about this, and they're like, it'd probably be a good idea if you would test out your backup helmet, make sure it fit before you go in, because he was having problems putting it on and making it fit right. And the other guy said, well, it was really cold, maybe it shrunk, and that kind of stuff. But it goes back to where it's like, okay, they had a backup, but was it tested? And I think that goes to your point, is if it's not trained, if you haven't, you can have an idea of what you want to do, and you can actually try to implement it. But if you haven't truly trained and prepared for it, it's like, if I had to use this, is this ready to go? Am I ready to implement it? Is it going to be something that I'm going to be able to do right off the bat, responding, so I won't get caught in that reaction? And I remember the old NASA example where back in the 60s, we're going to go to the moon. We're going to go to the moon, which, I mean, I can only imagine back then that it was, people were like, yeah, we're going to do it. And they're like, how in the world are we going to do that? But we're going to do it. And we're going to do it in within a 10-year period. I mean, it's just kind of insane when you think about it back then. But, you put a lot of time, money, energy, and effort on things, and you can make just about anything happen. Of course, we were very motivated back then. The Russians were trying to get into space. We're trying to get into space, that kind of stuff. But I remember that someone said, look, when they train an astronaut, it takes 6 months to train them how to get there and back, but they spend 18 months doing it. I'm like, why? What's the other 12 months for? And they said, for all the what ifs.
Yeah.
All the, well, what if this happens? It's not like there's a space shuttle parts store, that they can pull over and get. So you have to think about all these different things that could happen. Or, it's like, if this doesn't work, what do I do here? Like a checklist, just like a pilot would have a checklist, to make sure, okay, this, and this, because if something happens, what's the backup plan? What's the backup plan? And this is kind of an extension of that you're talking about.
Yeah, it is. And the better you get, the more important everything is. So being able to have a plan, practice, strategy for any type of distraction is going to be really important to you if you want to win big tournaments.
So if you're having a situation where you're getting better and better, and you're starting to win, and starting to be able to threaten other people, be prepared to respond in a way that protects your self-image that you've built, so you can stay dominant and at the top. If you like this content, please subscribe, hit the like button, and we'll see you next time.